Welcome everyone to another Conscious Coaching Conversation. My name is Divya Martin. I am the head of client and community engagement at Shenomics, and I have with me Manisha Singh, who heads our coaching practice at Shenomics.
Hi.
Hi Manisha. We've been doing these conversations, not seeing each other in person for so long now.
Yes.
It's very exciting for us to join everyone live today in today's conversation because we are going to be talking about a topic that we love talking about. As you would already know, we love talking to each other about as well and really deep diving into. Because today we're going to be talking about coaching, but also a very unique element that um, can elevate coaching, which is how mindfulness incorporates into this whole coaching approach. But before we started that off, I also did want to clarify what coaching even is. Uh, because while there are a lot of people who are aware of what coaching is, who can, be supported by a coach, what can you expect from a coaching relationship, we've also noticed that there are some confusions that some people might have between the various kinds of relationships that we build, especially in our careers. So just to kind of clarify what a role of a coach would be, or what a coaching conversation would look like, is to say that a coach is someone who is going to be your thought partner and someone who is going to help you to understand your own thoughts in a more linear way. Because I'm sure all of us would know that when we talk to ourselves or when we are thinking, there's always a lot happening in our minds. And having someone like a coach who has been trained, who knows what those boundaries are as well in the relationship in terms of what can be mentioned, what cannot, etc. When you have that kind of a conversation with someone that you trust, someone who is non-judgmental, is not going to is going to hold this whole conversation confidential. All of those are various elements that really add to the coaching conversation that you're going to have. And the whole role of a coach there is to really be a thought partner, someone who is going to ask you powerful questions, ask you sometimes frustrating questions, but with the whole idea of helping you understand yourself a little bit better. So a coach is not a mentor, right? Because a mentor is someone you would want advice from. You would go to a mentor because that person has a specific expertise that you need guidance on, right? A coach can be a mentor, of course, depending on if that's what you need from the coach, but that is not the role of the coach. The coach is there to provide solutions, to not provide solutions, sorry, but to really help you come to that solution of whatever it is you are looking for by yourself. And Manisha later on will also talk about a few of the kinds of conversations we've had with our coaching clients, because we've done this now individually, we've done it in groups, and there are always various topics that come up, right, in our coaching conversations. And they can, you think it's one thing, and then you realize there's a lot of deeper elements that really get uncovered when you start talking to someone who knows how to ask the right kind of questions as well. So that's coaching. And another kind of definition I wanted to also explore a little bit was, what are conscious coaching conversations, right? Because we call ourselves conscious coaches, and we like to call the conversations we have with our coachees conscious coaching conversations, simply because for us, conversations are one of the most powerful ways to really help or support another person kind of form what their train of thought is, especially when these are free flowing conversations, when there is no specific structure in it. It helps you elicit information in a way that is a lot more holistic, which is why for us, using mindfulness in these conversations becomes very powerful. Because as you discuss something with a person, as you answer questions, there's this whole theory called conversational intelligence, because your brain really makes connections when you are answering someone's questions as opposed to thinking about something yourself. So, you know, the whole idea behind our conscious coaching conversations was also to really use mindfulness, of course, which is what the whole core philosophy at Sheanomics is, but also use that in a conversational manner so that it is fun, it is free flowing, it is a safe space, and that really helps another person open up and share elements of themselves that they might not even have realized for themselves. So those, you know, are two of the things that we did want to talk about in terms of what is coaching, and also what are these conscious coaching conversations. And Manisha, you know, over to you, because I'd also love to hear your thoughts on what you think we bring as unique characteristics to our coaching. Right?
Thank you, Divya. I think the first one you beautifully touched upon already, which is mindfulness. Um, I think mindfulness brings in that element of bringing self-awareness to our behavior as a practice. And I think that when coupled with coaching, it brings in those long lasting insights, which then stay with us. So that way, you know, when I started working with Sheanomics, I started wondering, okay, why didn't this come to me earlier? Because these two go so well hand in hand. You know, the slowing down that mindfulness brings in, um, you know, creating that space between reaction, between stimulus and response, so that you are not reacting. I think those are such key elements which play a role in helping us change our own behavior. So that's one for sure. The second is that we like to introduce elements of playfulness and creativity, because I think we believe that it is possible to get great outcomes without really getting too serious. Because the moment I say serious, I can feel tightness in my body, and somewhere we've started believing that being serious all the time is the only way. And I don't mean to say that we should, you know, take things lightly, but there is this middle ground where we can really give ourselves the space to not put too much pressure on ourselves and explore creatively. You know, how can we do things in a way that we grow without pressure? And so, you know, we use a lot of mindfulness tools. Um, we create customized fun challenges for our coaches, whether it's our group coaching or our one-on-one coaching. Um, and I think that makes the journey so joyful, both for the coach and the coachee. And the third thing is really inculcating the practice of self-coaching, because that is such a good tool to just you know, such a good personal development tool that one can nurture for life. So, you know, we love to encourage coaches to ask themselves powerful questions, so that even when our engagements are over, that practice stays with them. That doesn't mean you cannot engage with the coach multiple times. But the idea is how to also awaken the coach within, because I think all of us are capable of asking those powerful questions, especially in moments which you know, which require us to make choices. So I think those you know, those are the definitely the three things. I'm sure there's more, but I'll keep it to three today. And then, Divya, I think, you know, you beautifully spoke about what conscious coaching conversations are. I would love to add as to what what is really the realm of these conversations. Um, and I think it's a wide spectrum. You know, right from, okay, what should my next role be? How do I prepare for that role? How do I create great relationships at work, at home? How do I navigate a personal transition or a professional transition? How do I figure out what do I love? You know, what's my purpose? Of course, that's a long journey. You know, it doesn't happen in one or two conversations, but really a wide spectrum. Divya, feel free to add any others that come to your mind. How to tell your story powerfully, how to showcase your work. So really a lot, but what we help or support our coaches with is really not the answers, but how to live into that vision that they have for themselves. So it's about, okay, this is what we want to do, but how do we become the person who does this spectacular stuff? So and just navigating that journey may require other experts in addition to the coach, who are subject matter experts. So I want to call that out, that we're not subject matter experts. Maybe in your area of work, probably you are the expert, but I think what we bring in is those inner shifts, those behaviors which support you to navigate that journey in a way that creates inner growth, permanent shifts, and makes that journey fun and inspiring. So yeah, Divya, I want to add anything to that?
No, I'm really glad you brought in the also the fact that we aren't the subject matter experts, right? Because one person cannot potentially be a subject matter expert in everything. But as you said, it is a coachee who is a subject matter expert here, because many of the times the subject is the coachee themselves. So, which is why coaching becomes such an empowering conversation to have, because it's not the coach's position or place even to even offer a solution. We are not the experts in your life, but we are there to help kind of hold a mirror and be like, okay, is this true? Is what you're saying true? Can there be another way to view it? So those are really, I think, key things that differentiate a coaching conversation from like a mentoring conversation, or even something you might have with a sponsor in your organization, however you might look at it, right? But yeah, that was a great point to add there as well, Manisha.
Thanks, Divya. And I think just to give everyone a flavor of how how that element of lightheartedness sometimes helps. I'd love to bring in a couple of questions, self-coaching questions, and one of those I just used, Divya, when we were getting ready for this call. So it is, if I knew dash, what would I do? And the whole idea is that when we see a problem, how do we may not be able to solve that problem instantly. How do we try to diminish the magnitude of that problem in our mind such that it ceases to become a problem? Let me illustrate it with two examples. So I was not being able to get connected because I've had really flaky internet connection for the last week or so. And I was just wondering, what happens if I just cannot, connect to the internet? What if this live session just bombs because I get booted out. And then I caught myself doing this catastrophic thinking. And then I asked myself, okay, what will I fill that dash in? And that what came to my mind was that in 10 minutes, if I knew that in 10 minutes, I'll figure out an alternate way, this would cease to be a problem for me. And that put me into a space to think of alternatives, and I tethered to my phone, and it's working fine so far. The other example is, sometimes you just feel very sad and stressed out like that. That was an example yesterday, and I asked myself, okay, what would be an analogous question? And what came to me was, what if I knew that in 10 minutes, the intensity of this feeling would just diminish? What would I do? And the answer was, I would just take care of myself. Like, I would just figure out a way, to be kind to myself. And then I thought, okay, let me brainstorm with Divya. And I asked her, okay, what's a good way to show self-compassion? And we came up with silence. And so that created space for me to think, okay, what's going to dissipate this? And that silence really helped. The other good question is, when we're really looking at a situation as if it's the worst thing that happened, is to think about, what am I being called upon to do in this situation? So it's a difficult conversation, and we think, we're resisting it. The question would be, okay, what am I being called upon to do here? And the answer is maybe courage. And then that gets a little bit more excited that, okay, there's scope for me to grow here as a person. Okay, let me go show courage. So from resistance, it moves to a possibility that, okay, this is an opportunity to grow. So those are some questions, and if they trigger any thoughts, or you would like some thought partnership, please write to coaching@sheanomics.com, and we would love to be your thought partners. Thank you so much for watching us. Divya, anything you want to add?
No, and thank you for sharing those examples, Manisha, because those are real life examples that all of us have to kind of confront at different points in our lives. And it also gives a good idea of, the various kinds of conversations that do come, right, in coaching that happens. And also how being able to come up with those questions for yourself then becomes a more long-lasting impact for the individual as well.
Yes.
But yeah, yes. So thank you everyone for being a part of our live session today. And like Manisha said, please feel free to reach out to us on coaching@sheanomics.com. We'd love to hear from you. If you have any thoughts about the kind of coaching that can happen, or even anything else, if you just feel like there's any way we could support you, we would love to explore that as well. And yeah, have a great evening, everyone. Take care.
Have a great evening. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.